Greetings and good Thursday morning, the 6th of April. It's already April. My God, where does the time go? Anyways, 6 April 2023, third decade of the 21st century. Once again, for anybody that may have stumbled on my channel by accident or is new to my channel and is not familiar with how I do business, I always present you with the date followed by the phrase third decade of the 21st century, because I'm always fascinated where smart people had predicted us to be as a society, where we would have evolved to as a society, versus where we actually are as a society and what sort of things we're contemplating, what sort of things we're dealing with, so on and so forth. The other thing I like to do, if you're not familiar with my channel, is if you leave a comment, I will read, react, and respond. Also, if you're not completely familiar with my channel, I kind of delve back and forth between socio-political and nerdy and geekier stuff. So with that being said, I have a comment from one of my loyal viewers, specifically one who does take the time to comment. We have struggled together to try to create a bridge where at least the two of us can talk while admitting to the fact that we don't see eye to eye on various issues. Not to reset the stage or anything, but I grew up in the Chicagoland area. If you don't know where the Chicagoland area is, perhaps maybe you're watching from out of this country. It's in the state of Illinois within the United States of America. My one loyal viewer and responder, Stace, is from, I believe, the Austin area of Texas. So we're both relatively the same age. We were both born in the mid to late 70s, which means we were both born post-civil rights. However, Stace was born in a former Confederate state, a former segregated Jim Crow state, a former Democratic stronghold KKK state. I was not. We both probably witnessed and experienced certain things growing up where we may agree on certain things, but also because of the sum total of our experiences and the sum total of our life, we view and see things differently. So without further ado, I'm going to read, react, and respond to Stace's comments to my last video, which in part had something to do with the Nashville shooter, but that was only a small part of the video. It was the latter topic. Black is preferred these days due to all the different locations where black culture have come from. Parentheses, uncomfortable conversations with a black man touch on this. I'm assuming Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man is the title of a video or something, Stace. If you can, just confirm that in a comment, if you would, please. There are times you come off as, I don't believe this is your intention. Somewhat, I think you meant somewhat victimizing yourself, since you don't believe in white privilege or trans rights, other than you stating you do. I'm going to stop there and comment on that, if you don't mind. I believe in the concept of white privilege, and I believe that there's foundational evidence to support the concept. I don't believe it's as widespread coast to coast, east to west, north to south, all 50 states, every county in the United States, every city in the United States. I don't believe it's as rampant as the media would portray it. Not having grown up in Texas, not knowing what Texas is like, I can certainly understand where perhaps where you grew up, and having maybe not left the state of Texas for long periods of time, that perhaps where you grew up, it seems to be more dominant and it seems to be more prevalent. Where I grew up, it really wasn't a concept. When I was much younger, everybody was very much interested in their ethnicity. If you're Irish, how Irish are you? If you're Italian, how Italian are you? If you're Polish, how Polish are you? I don't know if Texas experienced that a whole lot, maybe in the major cities, but in Chicago and the greater Chicagoland area, amongst the Caucasian ethnicities, people were very focused on their country of origin, and therefore people like me who were what we would call a Heinz 57, I don't have enough of any one ethnicity to really fit into a group. You know, we didn't really have a group to identify with other than white. And growing up, especially in high school, I remember what felt like black dominance, black culture, black awareness. You might remember from the early 90s as well, because I think we're about the same age. I don't remember the white privilege. And I've said this before, and for anybody who's new to my channel, and I'm not disrespecting any particular state, but I've been through some states traveling from one duty station to the next where I'm not gonna lie, I was glad for some security reasons that I was white, that had I have been of a different pigmentation in certain areas where I may have stopped for gas or whatnot, I think I may have been treated differently. So I do recognize that, you know, birds of a feather flock together, to include people that think a certain way tend to flock together and congregate together. I do recognize that bigotry and racism exist, but I think racism and bigotry exist across the spectrum. I think right now, in the third decade of the 21st century, we're being sold this bill of goods that white people are all bad, white people are evil, white people hate everybody but white people, and if you don't, then you must apologize profusely, partake in reparations. I don't know. All right, but I mean, my God, if you really want to talk reparations, I'm not the first person to talk about this, but the state of California, which was not itself a slave state when it entered the Union, if they really, and I mean really truly, want to entertain the concept of reparations, then do so fairly and on the grounds of merit. And specifically, for any Asian Americans, more importantly those of Chinese descent, who were, if not enslaved, perhaps indentured servitude, treated horrifically, built the railroads out west, performed mining functions, I think maybe that's where you should entertain the concept of reparations. Am I saying that in the entire state of California there weren't bigots, people who treated people improperly based on their immutable characteristics? Absolutely not. I'm not that stupid. I'm well aware that it happens, but I also think it happens across the board. I think black people group together and feel superior and treat people that are not black improperly. I think brown people do the same. We know white people have done the same and probably continue to do so, and perhaps even yellow people do the same and red people do the same if we like the color spectrum. As far as the trans thing goes, this one's touchy, because at the same time I try to be honest and true to myself. I don't want to purposely be hurtful and purposely be insulting, and I hope you understand that to be true. On the subject of trans, I honestly believe, and I've stated this before, and at the risk of being redundant, I believe in certain cases children have been misgendered at birth due to micro penis and underdeveloped penis and genitalia, and some young girls have been misgendered at birth due to an overdeveloped clitoris and labia, thus being diagnosed boy at birth. I believe even at the psychological level, some people deep down psychologically believe they're in the wrong body. And, you know, once you're an adult and you're free from your parents' upbringing and you're free to make your own choices, I believe you're free to explore that. And I know there's some people that have gone the distance and are very convincing, and you know, what have you. If they're in the women's bathroom, you know, they have stalls, they have doors, you know, you can sit down to use the bathroom whether you still have a penis or not, and vice versa. Some women who have done a hell of a job emasculating themselves, you know, and whatnot. I mean, if they use a closed stall in the men's room, nobody's the wiser. I think where it comes to the whole trans issue, like any other issue, I'm okay with people who go about their business and mind their own business and leave well enough alone and just want to be left alone and just want to live their life. I have a problem with people who take advantage of that and exploit it and make bigger deals and exploitations out of it. So, Stace, if I may use you as an example, you had mentioned some things to me in the past where if your partaking in the alphabet spectrum, the LGBTQIA+, it's my belief that you just want to go about your business. You just want to live your life. You're not trying to dominate sports, or you're not trying to invade spaces or whatnot. You're just trying to be who you are. And I'm okay with that. Plus, you're a grown adult, so I'm okay with that. The problem I have is the children. Leave children alone to be children. As a parent, do your absolute best to make them a law-abiding citizen, a productive member of society, and let them do what they want to do as an adult. Let them experiment, let them do what they need to do to find themselves as an adult. But as a child, just let them be a child. If a boy plays with dolls, it could be a phase. He could be playing with dolls. It doesn't mean you got to go chop his penis off and start him on estrogen therapy at the age of 6. Drag queens, I don't care about drag queens. You know, they've been around forever. You know, let them be. And I believe the average majority of drag queens just want to go and do their thing. And the people that want to partake in drag queen burlesque shows do so. And as long as it's within the adult spectrum, by all means, let grown adults do that. Because my limited understanding of drag is it's tongue-in-cheek, it's burlesque, it's sexual in nature. All the more reason why it's befitting of adults. And one of the memes I've seen recently that made the most sense to me was, I'm less interested about young kids who are curious about life, up to and including curious about drag queens. I am way more concerned about the drag queens that want to have unfettered access to young children. That's what scares me. All right? Why do these drag queens, and what really upsets me is, like I said, if it's below 10%, if it's below 5%, then it's like the other 95+% of people who participate in drag are having to deal with the consequences of the 10 to 5% or less that may have pedophilic ideologies and whatnot. And like I said, with the whole kids thing, just let kids be kids, all right? I just leave the kids alone. And, you know, I can't stand this rhetoric in the media. Oh, the books, the banning the books, and the book burning, and blah, blah, blah. Even Barnes and Nobles is partaking in this nonsense. There's plenty of video evidence and news footage evidence and city council evidence and school board evidence where children are bringing the books from their elementary school libraries that are belligerently sexually explicit. These are books that are explicit enough for the college level, possibly even too explicit for the high school level. So I don't believe they should have any business in elementary school or even middle school, possibly even high school. But we don't have to agree on that. I would like it if we did as a society. I would like it if we did as a group of people where we still had a common boundary of what is and what is not decent. Where once you become an adult, you can explore different levels of decency, but when it comes to the innocence of children who are not yet adults and are supposed to look up to adults for model behavior on what they should potentially want to be like and model themselves after, I think we have a sacred duty to protect them. And Stace, you know I'm not a religious person, so I believe you would want an even level, but unfortunately this isn't one where everyone can be their true selves. I know you have decent intentions, sometimes just find it hard to respond. And Stace, that's completely fair. Depending on the topic may be very sensitive to you, in which case, yeah, you know, if it's sensitive enough where it provokes anger, it provokes ire, or it provokes any kind of negative emotion, I certainly understand why you wouldn't want to get involved in the conversation. That makes perfect sense. My only challenge is I think we sometimes have to try to find a ways to overcome that, to talk to one another and even say, hey, I disagree, you know, this is how I feel. Because I feel like you and I will still recognize each other as people, and perhaps maybe we can demonstrate to others that even where there are topics that we disagree significantly, emotionally, and passionately, that we still recognize humanity and civility, and we can still treat each other decently. I feel like you and I can do that, and maybe through this method, this medium, we can continue to do that. But at the same time, if it is too sensitive a subject for you, where you don't feel you could respond rationally or whatnot, or you can maintain a sense of decorum, I completely understand. And, you know, even recognize that as a mature adult making a mature decision. But, you know, I'd like to see us continue to have these conversations, but again, you have to do what you have to do for yourself. With that being said, for anybody else, the trans issue is very sensitive, and I try to tread lightly. But I am who I am. I have my thoughts and I have my opinions, and in spite of wanting to maintain my channel, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend. All right, I'm all about recognizing humanity and civility. But I also recognize that within every group there is a fringe population of people who want to push the boundaries of what is acceptable and decent. I think what we're dealing with right now is the fringe being overly recognized, being overly sympathetic to, and they're getting way too much attention as if to normalize their extremism. And I think that's probably the best way I can put it. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. So I'm going to close this video, publish it, and then I'm going to do one more video that's slightly more geeky and nerdy. So with that being said, here's the deal. I don't care if you like or dislike or subscribe or notify yourself or whatever. I'm really just trying to increase communication among strangers, even if we disagree, so that we can learn to be more civil with one another and try to find ways to communicate. Because if we don't, then we continue to partake in divisive parties, and I don't know if increasing division is the way to go. But I don't know. That's just me. So if you leave a comment, I promise I will read, react, and respond. And if you do, I appreciate it. You're awesome. Stay safe out there. Till next time.